Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Breakthrough to Best Self with Holly and Lauren-Aaliyah. And we're so happy to be here with you today, as we always are. Today, we have something special for you. Well, I always feel like we have something special, but something a little different. So I'm going to invite you to stay to the end. For the last 10, possibly 15 minutes, we have something we want to offer to you as a way to what? Manifest your future self now. And that's the topic we're going to talk about today, manifesting our future self. So let's start out with a little background about what are we talking about? Lauren, what does it mean when we say we're manifesting our future self now?
Well, the entire future, so yourself and everything that you experience in the future. So often, Holly, we find, certainly I've had the experience, and I'm sure a lot of those that are listening to this may resonate. So often we postpone feelings like joy and freedom and excitement and happiness for the future when something else happens. So I need to achieve something and then I'll be happy. I need to buy something and then I'll be happy, accomplish something. And I've done that for, gosh, probably at least the first half of my life was when I get married, then I'm going to be so happy. As a teenager, it was like, when I get out of my parents' house, then my life will start. And then it was when I meet, somebody and fall in love and get married. And then it's when I have children. And then when I buy a car and when I buy a house and when my career gets off the ground. And so when we're postponing our dreams and our desires into some space and time in the future, quite often that means that we're not present, first of all, in our lives. And
Absolutely.
when we're not present, we're not enjoying what we have right now. And then on a sort of, from a neuroscience point of view, certainly your mind is not connected to your present either. And so when we're using language about, I'll be happy when this happens, your brain, unconscious part of your mind actually hears, well, that means I'm not happy yet.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so we start to experience these feelings of, unfulfilled life or, dissatisfied, discontent, sometimes worse, where it's hopelessness and depression and sadness because life is just not what we hoped for it to be. And so when we talk about the aspect of, living and experiencing your future right now as an aspect of holistic wellness, we really are talking about a mental state that allows you to embody the emotions of the future self and the future experience right now. And that's possible, with the wonderful brain training exercises. And Holly, you said that right at the end here, we're going to be sharing something with those that are watching or listening to this podcast. At the end of this recording, we're going to be sharing an exciting exercise with you, just a few simple steps, 4 steps on how you can manifest your future right now. And that doesn't mean that you will have everything you desire in a moment, but you can feel like you do. And that's the difference, Holly. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on this aspect of manifesting future right now?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to go back to what you said about that whole experience of I will be okay or happy or, all of the fill in the blank of the good, the positive when I get to this place in my life. And it reminded me of what we call, we often call that the myth of arrival. And then we get there and there's something else. We need to get to some other place and we'll be happy. And it's a story that we tell ourselves. But what if we told ourselves a different story? What if we felt what it was like to feel that whatever that is that where you're trying to get to, that job, that relationship, that, I keep going back to, I used to say, I'll be happy when I weigh this much. That was
Mm-hmm.
something I used to say to myself. And then I would get to that place and I wasn't happy. And I was like, wait a minute. Then I realized that I could be happy right now in this moment. I could be happy right now. So
Yeah.
we're going to get into the sort of an exercise that people can do, an activity that you
Mm-hmm.
can actually do to bring your future into now. But
Right. And maybe this
yeah, go ahead.
sorry,
Go ahead.
Hal. At this juncture, it just, I'm mindful to say that certainly even this conversation and these concepts and this thinking is very inspired by the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, who speaks
Yes.
eloquently and shares a lot of information. So if you haven't followed and subscribed to Dr. Joe Dispenza's channel, do that. Watch his videos on this conversation around Future Now. And then Holly and I have a mentor in, the food addiction recovery space, Dr. John Ifland, who uses this Future Now visualization and exercise as part of addiction recovery. So this
100%.
aspect, this concept of manifesting Future Now, not only does it have literally mood altering benefits, it opens your eyes to opportunities. You remove barriers to creating your future. So often when we caught in the depression and the sadness and the discontent of not having what we want, we may find ourselves in addictive behaviors to escape those
Sure.
big negative feelings. And so using these exercises, these brain training exercises like Future Now visualization, has tremendous benefits, has the potential for literally improving your physical and mental health, just on the basis that it introduces a sense of optimism and hope and gratitude back into your life in the present. So even if nothing is manifested in the way that the law of attraction, proponents of the law of attraction process may have it, even if you didn't, I'm going to quote unquote, magically manifest things, it certainly at a very minimum is going to make you feel better in the moment. So I just think that the benefits are so broad, from just feeling a little bit more hopeful and upbeat in the moment to removing physical and emotional barriers to being able to achieve your dreams, to see opportunities, to manifest those. So just tremendous benefits, and just wanting to acknowledge people who have brought, certainly in my own life, have brought this kind of thinking to light and have allowed me to explore what that means for me.
Yeah.
Holly, have you used this, exercise? And I know at the end of this video, we're going to be sharing the 4 steps. Do you find yourself using this process? Have you used it before? Have you noticed that you've been able to bring any aspects of future into the present for yourself, or certainly feel like they're here now? What is your personal experience with this?
For sure. For sure. I also want to give a shout out to Dr. Joe Dispenza and to Dr. Joe Nifland for, bringing this material to the forefront of our minds. And yes, I have. What you're seeing right now is a product of that. At one time, I wanted a podcast, and you and I had this conversation. We had talked about our connection of holistic wellness and a lot of these concepts we wanted to bring to people. And so this was part of my process, and here it is. Here it is. And it wasn't that I just thought about a podcast and then boom, all of a sudden here it was. But it was a combination of me working with my unconscious mind and my conscious mind and my physical body, and manifesting and making it happen. And we're still manifesting this, but there was something that came to mind when you were sharing with me, Lauren, that I wanted to ask you about this topic. And that is that I know that you have a religion that you practice on a regular basis. And I wanted to know, because sometimes the word manifesting can be sort of grouped with the new age world and that type of law of attraction type of thought process. But I wanted to ask you, how do you, bring together this thought process along with your religious practices? How does that, come together for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's so interesting. I had this conversation with a client. We were doing work together, brain training work in transformational self-development work. And we were using future now visualization. And she too is, she practices within what some would call formal religion. And we had this very conversation. And so for me, it's really easy to reconcile science is proving what my faith has always taught. And that is that I have capacity as a human being beyond what I can imagine, and certainly beyond what I'm probably using right now, because I'm so marvelously created, so remarkably and perfectly created. So I believe in the concept of creation. That's the basis of my faith, is in an all-knowing single creator source. And so when I think about manifestation, for me, it feels like showing up in my own life, being grateful for the way I've been created, leaning into the capacity that I've been given within my conscious and unconscious mind, which is part of how I was created, and knowing that I can connect my unconscious mind, which is part of creation, into the rest of creation, which includes the seen and unseen universes, and make these connections. I also think that I have, as part of my faith, a deep sense of gratitude for what's available to me right now. And so any exercise or brain training or psychological approach that encourages me to be joyful in the moment, for me, is congruent with my faith. To be joyful in the moment, to be pleased with where I am in the present, to not languish in desire for what I don't have, and long for a future that's not here, and be dissatisfied and discontent. These things are at odds with my faith. So when I think about manifestation, I don't think of it as, outside of creation. I am grateful to a creator that helps me to connect with what was predestined for me anyway, and to be grateful for that now. So I absolutely see it as one. When we get to the 4 steps at the end of this video, which we're going to encourage our viewers, our listeners, to try out for yourself as a way of experiencing your future good emotions now. When I practice that daily, I include prayer. So absolutely. I don't only visualize, I visualize with the intention of connecting to my creator, to my higher source, and saying, all that is within the future that I aspire to, I depend on you to help me get there. And then I thank you in the present. Nice. Because it's already happened. And I think a lot of, faith-based teachings, this is congruent with that as well, where after a prayer, some may say, and so it is done, so it is, and I accept it as though it's already happened. And so there's a lot of narrative and language in faith-based teaching that actually reconciles with what, quantum physics or neuroscience is saying about visualization and experiencing the future now. So I personally find it really easy to reconcile the two. And this is what gives me great joy in the work that I'm doing, is that it does transcend whether you're in formal religion or you're not. These are concepts that we can adapt and use in a way that resonates with us personally, rather than splitting hairs over why we're different,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you remind me, Lauren, of the work that you and I do with the unconscious mind. You remind me that, if someone is looking at this from a different angle, maybe it's not a religious space for them, that we can go with the science, we can go with quantum, but we can also talk about the unconscious mind and how
Right.
when we visualize or focus or make it part of the unconscious mind, as I do with hypnosis with my clients, is creating the suggestions that work for them and helping them kind of plant that in their unconscious mind. That unconscious mind is out there looking for those opportunities, looking for those pieces to make the future now happen. And so
right.
it doesn't, I'm on both sides. My foot is in both sides. I'm on the spiritual and the scientific side. And I do,
Same.
like you said to me, or like you just said to all of us, Lauren, is that, we can, science, to me and you, we've had this conversation, is actually proving the faith side. They're together. They don't have to be separate. They don't have to be at odds. One is actually in, as we continue to see the science behind this, you see that in actuality, the two are together. They're not opposite sides. And to me, that's exciting and encouraging. So
Yeah.
you want to talk a little bit about what this process is, Lauren?
Yes, let's do that. Let's get into that. So just reiterating what Holly said around the unconscious mind. So just understanding the neuroscience aspect of this, the unconscious mind, and Holly talks about suggestion and planting suggestion. In my work as an NLP practitioner, neuro-linguistic programming, we talk about programming brain language. If that language is that somewhere in the future, I'm going to experience joy when I achieve X, Y, Z, what your unconscious mind is actually taking in and interpreting is that, oh, there's no joy right now. Oh, okay. Right. Here's proof of that. Here's proof of that. Here's proof of that. And we start to live this life that's devoid of joy, and we have evidence of why there's no joy in our lives, right? So when we participate in this process, we start to tap into what are the feelings that we want to bring from that future and experience them right now so that we can uplift ourselves. And so I'm going to show you something that, and I'm sorry that this has been around with me for a long time, so it doesn't look very good, but I did a Future Now exercise in June of 2023 as part of, in fact, Dr. Johnny Flynn's community. We did an exercise together, and I did focused on my career. And just this week, I did an exercise with the same community, sharing actually this process that I'm about to share with you now. And what I did was I focused on my career. So we see that there's 4 steps to this process. In the first step, and Holly is going to kind of follow along and show you what I'm doing. You are not going to be able to read this, and that's okay. So in step 1, you are going to the center of a sheet. So you're going to need some writing paper and writing pens or pencils. And in the center of your sheet, you are going to depict yourself. Now, that doesn't look like me, but if I come a little closer, you'll see I've got a heart-shaped.
Is that cute? I love this.
A heart-shaped head and a green dress with the words me. Okay, so right in the center of your page, just forget the symbols around that for a moment. Just in the center of your page, and we're on step 1, you're going to draw a symbol, a picture, a little representation of yourself. Holly, show us what you got.
Me with a hat on because, you know, I like to wear hats.
There you go. So on step one, that's all you're doing. And then you also now in step one going to be filling out symbols, words or pictures around yourself. Be careful not to go too far left or right because we're going to use the left space and the right space in a moment for step 2 and 3. So in step 1, surround yourself with little depictions, words, colors, symbols, drawings of the things that you want to focus on and realize and desire from your future. Okay. I'm going to tell you that I focused on career, and I've got little symbols here that look like a little laptop. I talk about my online holistic wellness coaching. I've got a little sunshine that says fulfilling work, helping others. And so this is something that I was working on over a year ago. I'd started this exercise, and it was just so exciting to have come full circle with this and share this week in the community. Okay, so Holly, how are you going? So if you're following along with this video, you're doing the same. So you've got little symbols. Tell us what you got there going on there, Holly.
Okay, this is continued success and processing of our YouTube podcast. That's the little YouTube symbol, right?
All right.
Sound healing with my sound bowls. I am going to continue to grow that practice, both for myself and for people, for more people, reaching more people.
Radio.
Right. And then so mountaintops and travel and that sort of thing, retreats, just stuff like that.
All the good stuff. So you can get as detailed as you want. And I want to say at this point that you can do a future now depiction of all areas of your life. Or you can do what I've done and go, I'll do one future now depiction of career. I'll do one of relationships. I'll do one on my faith or spirituality in the future. One on, you know, my own self-development and growth or my education. So you can depict these symbols of the future in any area of your life, or you can paint a general overview of all the areas of your life of what you desire. So that's what you're doing in step 1. If you need to pause this video right now because you're getting excited and you want to participate, go pause the video, go and get yourself a piece of paper or a board like Holly has, something that you can refer to and look back on actually. And if you do it on a board and you want to clean your board, take a picture. So after you've done with this, take a photo and keep a photograph on your phone. I've taken a photograph of my full picture, which I'm going to reveal as we go along. So quickly, step 2. In step 2, you're going to go to the left-hand side panel, the left panel. So on the left of the picture that you've just drawn, in step 2, this is where you are getting a little bit more detail. So here you are making, if you like, it's a list. And now I want you to go into a little bit more detail about what it is that you want from this future. What are the specific outcomes? So you've got a group of symbols around yourself. And by the way, if it helps you, and it certainly helps the unconscious mind to see the connection, draw some arrows going from yourself to each one of those symbols, or little electric lines, or anything that represents your connection to each of these things. So go from the little drawing of yourself, just draw some little arrows and directions just to make that center part come alive for your unconscious mind, for your brain to just pick up that, oh, this is me, and this is all of my desires. Okay. So now in step 2, on the left of your picture, this is where you're going to list what is important to you about your future. What are the specifics of what you want, or the circumstances that you want this future to unfold in? So you're now taking these symbols and you're just fleshing them out into a little bit more detail. I'm not going to read everything I have on this page, and you don't need to see it, but I'm going to give you some examples. I had said in the center that I was going to be doing a lot more fulfilling work, helping others. I spoke about my online coaching and the courses. At the time in June last year, was doing my coaching, but I hadn't quite got into the skill building side of things. I wasn't doing as much courses, online courses. I had a little laptop that was drawn and lots of people. But on step 2, this is where I'm answering what is important and what is the specifics that I want. And I wrote things like, it needs to be fulfilling to me and my family. I needed to help others in a credible way, but I also wanted to have balance between life and work. I want financial freedom. I want peacefulness. I want it to be something I'm passionate about. And then I got very specific. I said I wanted to develop more courses around transformational self-development work, as well as my specialized nutrition as a keto coach. I wanted to offer more of my services in NLP. I wanted to work remotely and be flexible. I wanted to grow passive income, collaborate with others. This is before Holly and I started doing the podcast. I've got a podcast on my list and a bunch of other things. And I mentioned the ones I've mentioned to say that that was in June 2023. In November 2023, Holly and I launched our first 4-week course, the Get Cravings and Overeating Under Control course. We launched in November 2023. This year, November, is 1-year anniversary of that course, which we've run every second month since then, and we'll be running it again in November. This is the power of future now expression, the way we're doing it now, and then practicing those feelings, which we're going to get to in step 3. In step 3, on the right-hand side of your page, this is where you are answering, and how will it feel? Now, Holly, before I move to step 3, tell me what you got down there under step 2. Just give me a couple of examples of what you wrote down under step 2. What is the detail of what you want? What is important about the future?
Working with people, helping them and feeling fulfilled, seeing the world personally and professionally, visiting South Africa,
All right.
right? Finishing writing my book. And I want to create sound healing videos.
There you go. So Holly's got those details of her future on the left of your panel. Just show us again, Holly, how you're filling that out. And now we're going to move to the right-hand side. And here's where it gets really exciting. This is really going to become the blueprint of your visualizations or your meditations, where you begin to practice and manifest that future. A lot of it is coming from these emotions. In step 3, you're answering on the right-hand side, how will it feel? So on the right-hand side of your picture, make a list of how it feels to be in your desired future. So you are imagining, visualizing yourself in that future, having already achieved all the things that you've depicted in the center and all the things that you've listed on the left-hand side. What kind of energy does your body have, even just thinking about this? So here's some ideas of things that might be on that list. You might feel, say, I feel, because you're not, I will feel. Remember, we are talking about this as though it's already happened. And you can just do it as a list of words or phrases. So empowered, free, happy, in love with life, you know. So describing the full energy and the emotions, satisfied, fulfilled, and a whole range of things that you might feel if you are inside your desired future right now. List those emotions, list that energetic feeling that you have, and describe it in words or in a short phrase. And so this is just a bulleted list, okay, of all the things So you need to use your imagination here. Look back at your depiction of the future if it helps you. Look back over this word. Allow your intuition as well to come up and meet this question. How do I feel as a person? In my case, I'm looking at my sheet. How do I feel as a person who does fulfilling work, helping others? How does it feel to be financially free? How does it feel to have these successful coaching and skill building practices? How does it feel to be collaborating with others, to be making a difference in the world, which is on my list? What does that feel like? So in step 3, I've got fulfilled, accomplished, purposeful, satisfied, energized, empowered, grateful, happy, free, and healthy. What you got, Holly? Tell us what you got on step 3.
Well, I'm so glad you said grateful. I needed to put that on the list. Okay, here it is so far. Excited. I'm excited. I saw myself on the airplane flying to meet my friends all over the world. Connected, in love with life, fulfilled, creative. And then I said feeling connected to source and everything around me, free and grateful.
Lovely. Lovely. So that list is done on step 3. And here is the final exciting step. In step 4, the prompt is to create that future right now. So you can do this on your own. You can practice this on your own. In the initial depiction, it may be helpful. I'll tell you what I've done in step 4, and I do this with my clients when we do this one-on-one, is we create affirmations that help us realize the person I am. So in step 4, I may say, I am, and you may have a list of I am statements. I have, and a list of I have statements. I'm doing. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're in the future right now. What are you doing? I feel. I know. What do you know? What do you know when you're in the future right now? I love this one. I give. Now, let me tell you something. When you are manifesting and creating with the intention of connecting to the world around you and being cognizant of an ecosystem that you exist in, the universe, your creator, your unconscious mind are more inclined to conspire with you to make this future happen when you consider the environment and those around you and the world that you're in. So connect your future to more than just our selfish selves. Like, what am I going to get for me? That's great. But I feel like if I'm just going to manifest a $50 million check that I can just, lay around and squander, I don't know, first of all, that is a worthwhile intention. It may be, and that's great. I don't judge anybody who wants $50 million to themselves. But the experience has been that, as I said, creator, universe, unconscious mind certainly conspires with you and finds opportunities for you when what you're manifesting is within an ecosystem that supports the world around you. So I give, and some affirmations around I give. I'm experiencing. What are you experiencing? The future right now. What are you experiencing? I decide. So this is saying how you make decisions when you are in your desired future. I choose. What are your choices when you are in your desired future? I'm with. Who are the people?
Well, right. Preach it, girlfriend. Preach it.
Who are the people you're with when you're in your desired future? So
I thought you said I'm worth. That's what I thought you said.
That too.
I'm worth.
I'm worth. Let's add that on. Let's add that on as a list of I'm worth, and you can have a list of I'm worth, and then I'm with. So when you look back at these affirmations of who I am, what do I have, what am I doing, how am I feeling, what do I know, what am I giving, what am I experiencing, what am I deciding, what am I choosing? who am I with and what am I worth? Now you have a very bright, loaded picture of who you are in your future right now. Now go into your meditation with that. So now you're going to find a quiet spot. It may be somewhere where you typically just get quiet. It may be in nature. It may be your prayer space. It may be your meditation space. It may be walking along the beach. It may be walking in nature, wherever it is that you can bring yourself into the present. So that's what you want to achieve. You want to find a quiet space. Even if it's not physically quiet, you should be able to get to a quiet space in your mind and bring yourself into the present. And you can start with thinking about these affirmations or glancing at your sheet and recalling all the things that you want for yourself. But most importantly, you're looking at the list on the right of all these emotions. And then you're going to try that on as though it's a garment that you're putting on. So imagine you're able to just pick this up like it's a big, awesome, wonderful winter coat on a cold day. And you're just wrapping yourself in this future, but right now, okay? And you could use an affirmation that helps you feel really empowered to do this. You could say something like, I easily stop thinking about the past and the future, and I easily find myself in the present. So that allows you to just anchor yourself. And then, even though we're building a future, you want to tell your brain that the images are happening in the present. Okay? So that your brain helps you to, starts to actually do creation work, what we call, creation, manifestation right now, today. If you tell your brain that these images are coming from the future somewhere, your brain won't act now because it perceives that it's not now, it's not urgent, it's not here. So this is the important piece. And this is the piece that, when Holly and I do work as, hypnotherapist or NLP practitioner, I often do timeline therapy work before I even do this visualization. I ask people, and I'm asking you now that's watching, think about this. Spatially, where is your future? If you were to point, where is it? Every one of us will point somewhere. At the moment, Holly, you're so deep into the future now that you're pointing to right now. But outside of the future now, let me give you an example. If I was to ask you to remember the color of your first car, or remember the wall paint in your bedroom when you were 12 years old, which direction are you finding that memory? Where are you going? Are you going to the left, to the right, to the top, to the bottom, behind you, or in front of you? Where is the past?
Up right here, which is unusual because you've done this with me before, but today it's up here, top.
Okay,
center.
So your past is up there. So where would your future be? If I asked you to imagine yourself when you're 80 years old, which direction would your future be? It needs to be opposite direction to past, right? So your future
to the right.
The future's to the right. Mine is to the right as well. And what that tells me is that your timeline runs left to right. Your future's to the right, your past is to the left, typically. Now, you may be surprised to know, and for those that are watching, some of you said the future's to the right, but some of you said the future's in front of me. You're not wrong. That's just where your timeline runs. Your timeline runs from the back to the front. We've had clients say, my future's above me. That's fine. That means that past is below, it's underneath you, and the future's above you, and that's okay. But what you're getting a sense of is that your unconscious mind can hold a spatial representation of past and future. So that's all it is. So when you're doing this meditation, visualization, prayer, quiet time, whatever you want to call it, where you are embodying the future right now, take a moment to feel yourself perceiving the direction that you perceive future to be, whether it was right or ahead or up. And first find this picture, the representation of this picture that you drew, which is sitting somewhere in the future. In my case, it's on the right. And first bring it closer to you in your quiet time as part of your meditation. Bring it all the way closer to you so that you are present with it. Now start to embody those feelings. Now start to feel those feelings. Now start to think about the detail of your checklist, that you have all of these things listed on the left-hand side of your sheet, and you feel all the things on the right hand of your sheet, and you are all the things that you've written at the bottom of your sheet. And that is how you spend 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, every other day, once a week, practicing. Like everything else, the more we practice, the easier it gets. And the more.
And who wouldn't want to live in that
right?
future now? Who wouldn't want to experience the joy and the excitement that comes with that?
So exciting. So this is the gift we're giving you today. If you haven't come across this exercise before, let us know what you think of it. And if you would like to try it, if you have a view on manifesting, if you've used any other tools, if you are somebody who regularly practices manifesting, and if you've noticed it show up in your life, we'd love to hear from you. As always, if you enjoy the content of the Breakthrough to Best Self videos, please do consider not only liking this video, but also subscribing to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you're aware when we post new videos. We'd love to hear from you. Holly, that's a wrap for this week's episode. It's been so exciting. Any closing thoughts on manifesting the future right now, and closing thoughts for our viewers?
I would like to say to our viewers, thank you for taking us through that exercise. First of all, Lauren, appreciate you. I'd like to say to our viewers that, like with everything else we talk about in here, pacing is key. Because I know for myself, this may be, as Lauren said, this is a practice. We're practicing this, and we get better with practice. So if you're having a little bit of a difficult time feeling the future now feelings, or in any portion of this, just know that it's okay to take your time with this like you do with anything else, and you're doing it right. It's okay. You're doing it right. Just keep practicing, and you'll get better and better and better at sort of living in the manifestation of your future now. That's what I got.
Yeah. Thanks, Holly. We wish you peace and love and all the good things you wish for yourself right now in this moment. And we will see you in the next video. We'll see you there.
See you there, friends.